The coldest temperatures of the season are on the way, coming up for this weekend, heading into next week, along with two disturbances. And one of those disturbances is actually going to be tracking much further south. So let's break down the details for you in this update. For the next 2 days, we're going to be actually on a warming trend before that Arctic air arrives. And that's going to be complements of a southwest wind pulling those warmer anomalies much further north. It's still going to be high and dry for those areas out west, but we are watching a little clipper system that's pulling through the Great Lakes and much of Ohio into Pennsylvania, as getting into New York this morning. But we're also going to be watching this little feature down here that's just about entering the United States. That's actually going to be traversing across, and that is the system that could bring some southern impacts for wintry precipitation. So let's take a look at the overall setup on the surface map this morning. You can see that clipper system pulling through this morning, heading into this afternoon. So we could be seeing more snow showers for those areas across Canada, back into areas of Michigan, through Ohio, getting into West Virginia, as well as into Pennsylvania and portions of upstate New York. But notice that little red line there, and that is your freezing line. That's well north, folks. That is complements of that southwest wind. So we are expecting temperatures to rebound and kind of moderate for the next 2 days. And you can see it on the temperature anomalies. By the time we headed into Friday, much of the lower 48 is going to be warming up. So it's going to be feeling actually pretty mild. You're like, what Arctic blast? What are you talking about? Just be patient, because it's definitely on the way. Just enjoy the nice weather that's coming for the next 2 days, because we are expecting to be milder conditions across a good part of the lower 48. But all that changes heading into this weekend. So what's going to happen is we're going to be seeing a dominating ridge. This ridge just lifts well into Alaska, really warms that area up big time, and that really sends a buckle in the jet stream, and that sends the first wave of colder air all the way down into the lower 48. So it's not just a wham all at once. It's kind of a trickle down effect as the first initial surge, and then you'll have pulses of colder air that come in on the backside. So each day would likely get a little bit colder, especially peaking out probably sometime on Tuesday. And we'll be linking up with some disturbances as well. But the initial cold blast starts to enter the lower 48 by the time we head into Friday night, but especially by Saturday morning. Look at those wind chills. It is bone chilling cold. I mean, we're talking 50 below zero feels like. That is definitely bone chilling cold up there in Canada, entering the upper 28 below zero up into the Dakotas. You've got single digits in Kansas, spreads all the way into the Intermountain West, 19 in New Mexico. You've got 20 in Oklahoma. You got 25 in Ohio. So this Arctic surge will be plunging southbound towards the central U.S., and then it would likely just expand, include those areas west and east. That's the difference with this one. I think everybody eventually gets into the Arctic air, besides like 5% of the U.S. I mean, other than portions of California, maybe portions of southern Florida kind of misses out on this Arctic blast, but everybody else definitely feels the effects of what's coming. And the first initial surge will be providing some lift along with it. So we should be seeing along that cold front, the first cold front should be having some lift associated with some snow showers through Illinois, back into Indiana, getting into Ohio. This would be Saturday morning, getting into Saturday afternoon. And that's lifting out into areas of Canada. And then we'll have this little disturbance. Notice the dry pocket across much of the Dakotas through Iowa, areas of Nebraska. We're really not expecting too much snow for you guys. You're going to be missing out on these systems. But the disturbance we're looking at is the stuff that's coming out of the Rockies. And look at that, folks. That's a 1058 Arctic high pressure. That is some serious cold building up there in Canada, ready to enter the lower 48. And that's exactly what's going to happen. It just comes down the pike in a big way. And you can see the pressure points. I mean, 1054, 1045, 1046. I mean, that is some seriously cold air and easily the coldest temperatures of the season. And this is what I'm talking about as it continues to shift central and southern states, and then it'll likely expand and shift eastbound and as we get into Monday and that Tuesday time frame. So there it is, Sunday morning. These are actual temperatures by Sunday morning. A lot of you guys are going to be starting to feel the effects of that Arctic blast in a big way, with more negative numbers showing up on the map. Everything in purple is actually going to be below zero. This is not feels like, this is actually actual temperatures, folks. So everybody's going to get into the action. It's eventually going to get down to 16 by the time you wake up on Sunday morning, the January the 19th time frame. 10 degrees in the panhandle of Texas, 15 degrees there in Oklahoma, 23 in Dallas. You get the idea. It's cold, folks, and it's likely going to continue to remain cold all the way through early next week, because we've got this overall blocking pattern that really kind of takes shape. So you got a ridge over Alaska, you got a ridge over Greenland that puts the blocking, you know, over the top, and the cold air presses underneath. And this is the expansion, folks. This is, by the time we head into Monday, this is the expansion of that Arctic blast as it dives southbound and just expands west and expands east. So yes, more and more of you guys are going to be starting to feel the effects of that Arctic blast by the time we head into that Monday time frame, getting into early next week. But what we'll be watching is the cross-polar flow. That cross-polar flow is going to be alive and well, and you can see this little disturbance coming in through Monday afternoon. That's going to link up with that area of disturbed weather off California right now that's going to be traversing across the southern corridor. That is going to be providing at least some lift that could fall into the cold air for those areas across the southern plains and the deep south, and bring some wintry weather potential probabilities going to be on the table by the time we head into Monday night. So with that mechanism coming in that's linking up with this cross-polar flow, we should at least overturn the atmosphere for at least some light snow within Oklahoma, areas of North Texas, getting into East Texas, even areas of portions of Central Texas could actually have some sort of wintry mix or just all snow with the cold air. It could be one of those dry, powdery snows too, because you're going to be well into the 20s, if not in the teens, as you wake up on Monday morning. It's definitely going to be cold in a big way. And the cold air just keeps pressing. And this is what I was telling you about the expansion eastbound. So you can see the surge as it continues to drop south. You got the cross-polar flow more or less pushing it eastbound. So yes, as we get deeper into Monday afternoon, deeper into Tuesday morning, it goes all the way down in the deep south. Pretty rare to find the entire state of Texas below freezing. That's exactly what's going to happen Monday, especially into Tuesday morning, as that cold drops all the way actually down into the Gulf of Mexico, folks. Yeah, no one escapes this colder air, because by the time we head into Monday afternoon, these are actual high temperatures. So a lot of areas, these are temperatures that won't even get above freezing. So this is highs, folks. This is highs. You stay below freezing the entire day, all the way down into the deep south as well, linking up with that disturbance. That's why we have that snow potential even much further south, and that's actually going to continue to press further south as we head into that Tuesday morning time frame. And as it does, that lift is going to continue. So we're still expecting at least some light snow within North Texas, getting into Central Texas, but now it's actually going to get into Southeast Texas. And honestly, a lot of the greatest lift is going to be actually much further south, because that low pressure system drops pretty far south. This is kind of rare to see a low pressure linking up with Arctic air at the same time. That's why we're actually even seeing some wintry weather probabilities even much further south. So this is definitely in the cards and not out of the question to seeing at least some wintry mix probabilities by the time we head into Tuesday into Louisiana, getting into Mississippi, as well as into Alabama, back into Georgia. Even the Florida Panhandle could have some sort of wintry mix by the time we head into Tuesday morning. But this is impressive, folks. This is a widespread Arctic outbreak. And yeah, there's areas that have seen colder in the past easily, right? But this is an expansion. This is about 95% of the country is going to be freezing temperatures. It drops well south. And overall, if this actually happens, this average low temperatures for the entire lower 48 is around 6 degrees. If that does in fact come to fruition, that would likely be the coldest, most widespread cold we've seen actually since January of 2014. You have to go back about 10 to 11 years, folks, on a widespread basis. This is not just going to be impacting certain areas of the country. It's actually going to be impacting most areas, especially with 95% of you are expected to wake up with a freeze by the time we head into Tuesday morning. Pretty impressive cold blast on the table coming in for this weekend into early next week. And that just continues to shift eastbound. So there's still probabilities of at least light snow and some wintry mix all the way down into Georgia, now getting into the Carolinas for you guys in South Carolina, as well as into North Carolina, eventually heading into Virginia, even with some light precipitation falling out of that neck of the woods, and eventually heading up into Delaware and portions of New Jersey. I don't really think this actually goes up the coast like this. I think it just continues off into the Atlantic. But nonetheless, the cold air keeps pressing all week long. So this is outside the warm-up. So basically from Saturday to Saturday, this is a very cold spell coming in for the lower 48 because the blocking over the top. In a lot of areas, it's actually going to be warmer in Alaska than it is in Texas, folks. You know, that's a rare sight to see. And overall, the entire lower 48 on a combined basis for the entire week averages out to about 10 to 15 degrees below average on an average mean for the entire lower 48. That's definitely a cold spell coming up for next week. And overall, that's going to link up with some wintry weather probability. So right now we've got the little clipper system that's coming through right now. So that's why you see 100% probabilities it's going to snow in that area, right? The second system is going to be coming down through the Rockies. So yes, you got 100% probabilities of saying, hey, it's definitely going to be snowing. Lighter probabilities, but still pretty high, right? I mean, especially for the South. I mean, this is 60, almost 70% probabilities at time from the latest European ensembles is seeing at least some wintry precipitation, and likely in the form of snow, likely in some wintry mix further south you live, and getting into southeast Texas through Louisiana, Arkansas, Mississippi. Notice the donut, right? That's the donut hole. That's the dry slot that most of your areas right here in the white has no chance of all seeing snow, and areas out west has no chance of at all of seeing snow. It's actually all the way down to the deep south. Kind of a rare feat that we're talking, yeah, it's going to be snowing in Alabama, but it ain't going to be snowing into, you know, Iowa, right? So that's kind of a rare feat, but that's exactly what's going to be on the table heading into early next week. And the GFS is pretty much in line with the European. We got the donut hole. Of course, we got the clipper system. The system that comes off into the Rockies that's going to link up with that disturbance that's just trailing out west, and then you have a lift out ahead of it, and we still have 40 to 50% probabilities through Texas and even in down to the deep south of some wintry precipitation as we head into Monday and Tuesday, extending into Wednesday of next week. So guys, I appreciate you guys watching. Do like this video, definitely hit the subscribe button, and catch my next update where I protect you before and after storm.